Welcome, everyone, to Plastic Arts Podcast. We have a very special guest today. We have Mr. Badbit himself, Joseph. He's a YouTuber, podcaster. He's host of the Trophy Room PlayStation Podcast. Joseph, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. And you know what? I'm also honored for the first time ever. I've been on so many podcasts over the years, and people always say, the PlayStation Podcast, the Trophy Room. I'm like, no, it's the Trophy Room, a PlayStation Podcast. And because you see, like, everybody thinks of it like on Twitter, where it's PS Trophy Room on Twitter. Yeah. So people just assume it's PlayStation Trophy Room. I'm like, no. I'm the one with dyslexia, and I got this. So thank you.
I appreciate that, but don't give me too much credit. Maybe about 30 seconds ago, I almost did that, and I switched them around because I figured, you know what? It's probably going to be the other way. And so I almost went that route, but I said, you know what? I feel something.
Yeah. Well, you got your instincts right on that one, man. Awesome, thank you.
I followed my heart. Well, Joseph, you're here to talk about Doom. You've beat it. I want to go just full balls deep into it. I loved it, and I want to just pick apart. I can't get enough Doom right now. I'm finding myself going and playing those levels again and trying to master it, although I'm getting my ass kicked. But what are your first initial just like impressions finishing Doom now?
So I beat it for the second time in a row. Nice. I got a platinum in it. So my rule when I platinum the game is I really have to love that game. I'm not a big trophy hunter. Like, to me, if I appreciate a game, I try to get at least half the trophies. If I love a game, I try to get 2/3 of the trophies. And if I really love it, I got to get that platinum. And so seeing Doom Eternal's platinum list or trophy list, I was in. And beating it the first time and then going in and getting all those trophies again, I absolutely found myself in love with Doom Eternal overall.
Nice. I haven't checked the actual trophy list on PlayStation, but for the platinum, do you have to do the mastery levels? Do you have to beat those?
No. So
those are dog shit. Like, I don't want to touch those at all. They look so hard.
Yeah, no. So the cool thing about Doom, because like every game or every designer will be like, we want you to play it the way you want to play it. And you usually find like halfway through that game, it's bullshit. They kind of do funnel you into one main way of playing the game. Sure. Doom is awesome because if you want to just have that, power fantasy, chalk it up to easy and you'll earn all the trophies you want, right? You like progression isn't tied to that. Or if you want that challenge, you want that hellish experience, you go into like, I think it's like Hell on Earth mode. And then it's literally hell on earth. Like, it is hard as all hell. But when it comes to unlocking things, like, you could go back into mission selects. It's super forgiving. Again, if you have trouble, and we're going to probably talk about the Marauder, that son of a bitch, you can set it to easy and you're not punished through it. So you don't have to do any of the mastery levels. The hardest trophies would have to be the multiplayer trophies, but even then you could cheese those.
Gotcha. Now let's start off a multiplayer because I actually haven't played any of it. I almost have no desire to it. How did you feel getting the trophy with the multiplayer? How did you feel playing those?
So in the beginning, I was digging the multiplayer. Was it in love or was it? I was like, this is fine, right? Because hearing the developers talk about it, the first game's multiplayer, they're like, a lot of people weren't a fan of it, right? Yeah. It was kind of just basic. What you think Doom would be, and it didn't really evolve over time like the base single player campaign did. So the multiplayer here is 2v1. You play as two different types of demons, or the same demons, whatever. Two demons, one slayer. The demons get to spawn different enemies on the field, and they also get different abilities as well. You can have a support demon, which is just like a support tree. And then you can have an attack demon. It sounds cool. It sounds fun, but it is super one-sided because it's kind of like with Overwatch in the beginning where you could have been like a whole team of like Reinhardts and just break the game. That's what it's like right now, where if you're two Marauders, you could just both stack defense. Gotcha. And then you could be able to heal each other nonstop while at the same exact time being super offensive, bouncing around. So right now, the multiplayer is absolutely broken, and I don't recommend it. And the reason why I say you could cheese it is because you can do all the trophies in private matches. So go on Reddit, go on, wherever you have two other friends, go get them in a lobby, play 25 matches with each other, kill each other. I think we did the math where it takes about 30-ish minutes to get 200 kills. So
Okay.
it's super easy to do. But if you're trying to be honorable about it, it is a pain in the ass because it is non-stop action, but because there's no hard rules, like you can't have two marauders, or one has to be attack or one has to be support. It's kind of broken in that aspect. So
Gotcha.
no matter what, Slayer is gonna lose unless you're really good.
Yeah. Well, it seems like it is interested in supporting the multiplayer aspect of it and changing it. They have all these kind of live events or like events they have planned. It seems like they're focused on, and I would hope that they balance it too to make it more fun. But yeah,
To me,
we'll see.
I would really like, and I didn't do the one where people could invade your games. I believe that's a thing that you could do. I never experienced that. But what I would like a Doom to be, or like a multiplayer, is like, give me horde mode.
Yeah.
Like just give it so that like there's more, and maybe it's just because like technically like it's gonna stress out the hardware, placing so many enemies on a map and having so many moving parts. But give me a horde mode. I think that would get me way more excited to play multiplayer if it's more co-op than, you know, or maybe like there is like a mastermind demon placing demons around and having your friends fight. But like this multiplayer does feel like it's a half measure.
Gotcha. Yeah, I feel like they were in a weird place where if they leaned back into that old multiplayer with the 2016 Doom, no one really wanted it. It just wasn't special enough. So I guess incorporate more of the single player into the multiplayer like they did with this multiplayer version. But for me, I saw it. I said, that's cool, but I had just zero interest in playing it. Maybe I'll get around to playing it. I just love how they've crafted the single player so much. So it's just like I'm getting my fix there.
Yeah, and it really sucks because I do think that at the end of the day, this game is going to get hurt review-wise because of the multiplayer, where the single player is just it's so perfect in so many ways. Like it's a like I said this about Gears, where it was a perfect evolution of where a series is going. That's why my same exact feelings are with Doom Eternal in terms of single player. Is even when they don't hit everything out of the park, they're great improvements onto the first game, which I didn't think was going to be possible.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, and I kind of found myself racking my brain for playing 2016 and then trying to figure out like what did I want in a sequel to that game, and they really nailed everything because they dialed in all the different features with traversal. You have those bars that you're just swinging around, pole dancing. You have the shotgun grappling hook thing. It's just like they really nailed the movement and balancing the weapons that you have to use in any kind of encounter. It's just them firing on all cylinders. They really understand what Doom is.
And they were like, I have to give them a lot of props because they made the combat faster and more aerial than the original game was more grounded. And I think it wasn't until the later levels where you were able to play with lifts and jumping around the map that way. But like having the ability to have those little like jungle gym things everywhere, like that was awesome because that's the thing I really like to do. I loved jumping in the air, having the one rune ability where as long as you're aiming, everything's slow mode.
Oh, I love that.
It's so great because like there's no better feeling of jumping on one of those poles. Leaping off and then turning around with your sniper ability and then shooting a guy in the head, and you just feel like, oh my god, like I'm Shroud. Like this is whoa, I'm a pro. But like that's the thing that they did right off the bat too, which is just like, hey, listen, I know in Doom 2016 it took you like 2 hours to get double jump. Right now, you got it. Go for it.
Everything's unlocked pretty much. Like I just love that because they understand players want to get in there and want to start having fun, and you can already start to build the difficulty. Like you don't have to build it up. You can do it. I think they just did it in a really smart way. One thing I found interesting too with just building difficulty, there's some of the bosses that they build as bosses, and then once you beat them, like there's that I want to say he's called the Doom Hunter. He's the one who's hovering on that like skateboard, like Tony Hawk doing 900s. He's the guy they build up, and he's coming. You fight him, and he's super hard. Once you do it, they go, okay, cool. Here's him with everybody else. And then they just keep doing it. They keep ramping it up. They build up the boss. They go, okay, cool. Here's him with everyone else. Here's 2 of them. Here's 3 of them. I love how they do that.
And that was the one awesome thing of like how to build up tougher enemies it was kind of funny to me because it felt like they were taking all the 80s tropes of like in 007, right? Like his main rival for the longest time was Jaws, right? He
Oh,
was like
sure.
in every other movie, and you're like, oh god, this guy again? What the hell? They kept on they kept doing that in Doom in such a great way where like there's one level where they're assembling the Slayer Hunter,
Hmm.
and then the next level after that's a son of a bitch Marauder, and then like the level after that is a big ass demon with the two knives or hands, right? Like
Oh, right.
like they were just like, and here's the enemy that's going to be your mortal foe, and then he's just like, no, no, I challenge that, and
Yeah.
like that was the coolest thing because like hearing about it, they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna give you a rival that you will see throughout the game. And halfway through, I was like, okay, so when are we gonna see this? And when we see the Marauder, I was like, oh okay, so he's gonna probably mess me up. It's like, no, it's not gonna happen. When he tosses Dr. Hayden through the portal, and he's just like, all right, let's go. I was just like,
Yeah.
this game's awesome. This game's freaking rad, you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how'd you feel interacting or fighting rather that Marauder the first couple of times? Because I felt like I was instantly dying, and I was like, "There's no way to beat this guy." So I had to kind of play it how they wanted me to play it. Then once I guess I cracked that nut, I was able to go, "Oh, okay, I need to do these special things to fight this guy."
So he, like all the enemies, I love to fight. Even the Doom Hunter, I love to fight him, because no matter what, I think everything you're doing in Doom is reactive to the world around you, to the enemies around you, and seeing different enemies. Like, let's just say in the distance, like the Mancubus or whatever, the thing that summons all the
The
bad
eye?
guys.
No, yeah, yeah. He does the fire
yeah.
thing. Yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah.
he's at a rave or he's at Coachella or whatever.
Exactly. Seeing him, he's like, I want to see your hands in the air.
Yeah.
Him, and it's just a wave of enemies right in front of you, and it's just like, okay, so how do I get through this wave of enemies to get to him to kick his ass? And even when he teleports, you're like, okay, so now I gotta find him. You're reacting, but you're being proactive throughout the entire engagement. Where Marauder, it feels like he's just halting you, and for the first time in this game, you have to stay in one place. It seems.
Mm.
And that's what then all of a sudden I'm like, this sucks. I hate this. And yeah, like he's the only enemy in this game where I didn't do it because he was too hard, because I know a lot of people are having issues with him. I was having some issues with him, but I literally would stop every time I see him, turn it to easy, and I'm just like, I don't want to deal with you. I just want to get past you.
Yeah.
Because the trick is, and I found this trick, is when he does his tell, which is the glowing eyes, and a very short tell. It's a shitty tell. And when you shoot him, he gets stunned. What you're supposed to do is go around him and then shoot him in the back, and you have him permanently stun locked.
I didn't know
That's
that.
I found that out during my second playthrough. I was just like, okay, well, this is different. And you won't have him like daisy chained locked. He'll break out of it after, a shot or two, but you get an extra hit in there. But he's the only enemy that I just loathed every time he was there. Where like there are really tough enemies like the rave guy and the giant the mecha demon, and they're just so fun to fight. They're just so much fun. They're so difficult, but like you could see how the progress you're doing while like you're seeing like their flesh just explode off their body, where this guy is just like, I'm bored, I just want to, I don't know, like, what were your thoughts on this guy?
I hear you on that, and I share the frustration, although for some reason that frustration was balanced well with once I beat him, I felt like, oh, there was such a relief, and I felt so like I achieved something. I felt so satisfied once I beat him. During the time, I hated it. I was not having fun at all. But once I actually beat him, I go, you know what? Damn, like I just felt satisfied accomplishing that. But I don't know if it was a good trade-off for those fights in the first place, because they were daunting. Every time he showed up, I was like, this guy again. It was always like a sigh. But playing the entire game, I felt like I was having fun. But when he showed up, it was just like, now I got to clock into work and got to do something.
Got to do my homework. There's one time trial too where I don't know how you don't do it on easy, because it summons him and you have like 20 seconds to beat him.
Oh God!
And it's just like, what the fuck? And that took me literally 40 minutes in all my lives.
Sure.
And that's my little small critique as well. Is the time trials and the Slayer gates, as much as they're a lot of fun, the fact that they're like, hey, listen, you could do these Slayer gates, but we're not going to give you more ammo. And the ammo you use there, that's done. Very easy to break it though, because all you have to do is load to your previous checkpoint when you die or are about to die, and it'll just give you all your ammo from before. So
interesting.
Yeah, so I did that one time. I was like, oh, I cheesed it. I'm gonna keep doing this if I lose, and that is something that, though I'm a dick and I broke it, I'm mad that I broke it.
So you can figure it out.
Yeah, where it like I shouldn't outsmart the dev. Like they should always have it above me to me. And that's such a pretentious thing now that I say it, but like that it's very small critique over all the things. But I feel like if you're in a Slayer gate, just give me all the ammo. Who cares? Like what's gonna happen if I have all the ammo? By the end of that Slayer gate, I won't.
That's
so like,
yeah,
who cares? You know. But yeah, other than that, like again, very small critique. I loved all the little mini things. How did you feel though? Like, the first game had the classic Doom maps in it.
Yeah,
sections. Did you miss not having those?
You know what? I didn't. Looking back at some of the other YouTube videos, I guess you can find small little like not screenshots. There's like small little icons or logos that are. There's really a lot of callbacks to the other Dooms in this one for sure. But I guess I didn't miss those. Yeah, I didn't miss those. I just for some reason I was just satisfied with everything else. But how'd you feel?
To me, I was just like, that sucks. And then I was just like, oh well, actually, they weren't that. They were just cool that it was there. Mm-hmm. And if you, a little spoiler alert here, I've been told this. On the computer, you can actually in your Doom lair, the Doom Fortress, the Fortress of Doom. You could play Doom 1 and Doom 2.
I just found this out, and I'm not sure how to unlock it, but apparently you can do that on your little computer there.
Yeah, apparently there's a password. I forget. It's like a name of someone in the Doom comic books.
Yes.
And then you unlock Doom 1 and Doom 2, and I'm like, that's fucking great. That is they know. And that's the thing about Doom is like Doom is the Super Smash Brothers of first person shooters to me.
You're right.
Where it's like, remember the 90s? Remember how things were freaking dumb as all hell, but you loved it anyway? We're gonna give you that. We're gonna give you moments of that, like collecting the floppy disks, seeing that Quake symbol on one of them. Like when you're in the Fortress of Doom, dude, that whole office, like he has Doom 1, Doom 2, Quake. Like he has like books. The best thing about the Fortress of Doom, there's literally like a Vanity Fair, but instead of like saying Vanity Fair, it's like Demon Fair. And and I would zoom in on these magazines. You're like, the Slayer owes an apology to all demons. It's the dumbest thing, but it's so great. Like all those little Easter eggs, it just made me feel so nostalgic and like young again. If that makes any sense.
I hear you. Like it's them just it's just understanding what Doom is, and then they have had such a long history leaning into that history, and that only pays off. Like it only helps the further you in that experience. I loved seeing that kind of stuff. I loved collecting the little plush collectible guys, finding all the vinyl records that you could play like the soundtrack in the Doom Fortress. What'd you think about that hub world on its own, your little base hub world?
So I got lost a little bit.
I did too. Oh yeah.
But I thought it was so, again, it's in knowing what this game is. And I feel like when the devs know they have something really special, and they know they do, you really do see the love throughout the world building that they build here. And they're just like, you know what? Doom is about what's cool. What's cool and what's heavy fucking metal. So they're like, why don't we just make a fortress? Let's just call it the Fortress of Doom. You're like, all right, cool, let's do it. So like the fortress itself, it was a whole bunch of twisting corridors, but very well built. Like I think of it as, I know I'm gonna lose a lot of people here, but Dalaran in World of Warcraft, that city is so interconnected, but so well interconnected where you're never going to get lost. You'll know exactly where you are. You know how exactly to get back without having to look on the map. And after a few missions of you exploring the fortress, you'll always find your way back to the con. And that's what I really liked. And having things to unlock there as well. Like upgrading yourself and like the little tokens and whatnot. really awesome. And even like the Unmaker, unlocking that, dope.
I found myself going back and playing those levels to unlock that weapon, and it was just so fucking cool. And God, yeah, everything about this game really. But
Cool, guys.
yeah, no, I love it, and I want to every time or in the future when id decides to show something off for the next Doom, I just want them to show a logo and say we'll see it when it's ready. Like I don't need to see a trailer. Yeah. Everyone should kind of trust them now to just do whatever they want and just like let them go back into the void and just work on this thing.
Yeah, to a very large extent they just know how these games should evolve. Like when we take a look at Wolfenstein to an extent, that's why I say Youngbloods, let's just forget about it for a minute. But like they know what makes those games tick. Yeah. They know how Doom ticks, and seeing that it's self-evident in the gameplay. It just feels and looks like it should. Like you think it looks in the 90s,
Right.
Yeah, well, my question for you, I don't know if we're jumping ahead here. No, talking about like the weapons. What was your favorite out of all?
Yeah, so that's one of mine as well. So I kind of found myself leaning on the super shotgun for its traversal, where I could use the meat hook thing, and also I think I had one of the runes enabled where I think it's when you're in the air you can slow mo. That also lend itself to that chain hook thing. So when you would grapple, it would slow motion it. So you would slowly arrive at the demon and see their face before you blast it off. Like I loved fucking doing that. So yeah, it was that shotgun. It was, you know what? I mean, I had to flip weapons, and that's one thing I loved about it. You had to flip weapons depending on who you're fighting against. So whether it was that Doom Hunter guy on the skateboard, you had to blast away his shield. So it's like you had to constantly flip between and use the right tool for the right job. Yeah. But it was always shotgun for me. Like when I didn't have to use it, I was going back to the shotgun.
Yeah, and that like my thing is as well. A small oak takes just small. Just give me a little bit more ammo. I understand what they want you to do. They want you to keep switching, but and it's just this is just me being personal bias of loving the super shotgun and loving how much ammo I had in the 2016 game was, and I to a fault. It got to a point where that was the only gun I was using throughout that game was the super shotgun. So I understand why they did the things they did. I just wish they maybe just had a couple more ammo places or a couple more canisters for gas for my chainsaw since I was using it so much. If that was there, I wouldn't have much of a problem. But for me, super shotgun, and then I'll ask this. I'll throw this one back at you. It's definitely the minigun with the auto turn on it. Like where it's literally a second turn on it, and it just like when you rev it up, it starts revving, and then the gun just separates in half, and it's just another like magical chain gun just appeared there.
Yeah,
so fucking cool. What like was that?
Oh, sorry. No, I was gonna say I didn't do that one just because the way they described it, I thought it was gonna plant you in place, and that was the only way you could use it. So I never enabled it. But then looking at footage afterwards, like, oh, you could just walk around with this like extra turrets on it. It looks dope, but I never got to actually play it.
Oh my god, it is the chain gun itself feels so powerful. And that was one upgrade from the original the 2016 game. Was the chain gun didn't feel chain gunny. This one it feels like it's tearing. It's the great equalizer if you have a wave of like lesser demons in front of you, because you just put the turn in and it's a meat pile. Like that's all it is. It's awesome. It's so freaking good to shoot. And my favorite thing is jumping in the air, having it aim, and then you're seeing the gun like a transformer break apart into two miniguns. By the time it sets and revs up, no more slow-mo, but that's all I needed to see.
Just the slow motion of it going.
It's like Autobots. And like it felt, God, that gun feels so good. But like if that wasn't your favorite upgrade, what was your favorite?
You know what? I laid heavily on the shotgun with the mini explosive, like shooting that. That was also my just like reaction playing the game, shooting that thing off. I can kind of had a little bit of time to work around at other enemies, just knowing that thing was going to explode. But yeah, there was that. There was also share the same frustration you did with ammo. I found myself Googling, how do you get more ammo in Doom
Yeah.
Eternal? Like, I thought maybe
Yeah.
I was doing something dumb, but that's just how they kind of crafted. But they want you to use the chain gun. They want, or the chainsaw rather. They want you to rely on these other techniques. And so once I learned that, I felt a little bit more at ease because I was holding on to my chainsaw. I thought, oh,
Yeah.
only use this for bad guys, because I was just thinking of the 2016. Like, I would save it for like boss level enemies or
Yeah.
like stronger enemies. But no, in this one, you really just got to let it loose because it's how are you going to get more ammo?
Yeah, and the other like balancing act was getting more shields as well.
Yep.
They really want you to use the flamethrower, which I get. Like, I really using the grenades in this game, the frost bomb, the regular grenade. The combination that I was doing that I found the most success with was freezing them, setting them on fire, throwing a frag down, and then gaining a shit ton of shield afterwards, because
Nice.
that would just eradicate everybody. So yeah, that was the one thing I would do. The grenade shotgun is just the most outrageous thing to say out loud, but then it's like the coolest thing ever.
Yep.
I did a thing where, like, I found the mod that I liked, and it never punished me for just saying, "Hey, listen, we get it. You don't want the auto shotgun. Okay, fine. We'll just just use this one then." Doing the sniper instead of the assault rifle. That's what I like. The assault rifle I never used as an assault rifle. I just used the sniper instead of the missile bullets.
Right.
And then I used my chain gun as my machine gun. Like, it did such a great job of like, hey, how do you want to play? You got it, buddy. And just for the most part, other than a few boss fights in the fucking goddamn Marauder, like, it was just like, you do you, dude. And I'm like, all right, let's mess the fools up. That's what I really loved about the guns. Yeah.
I hear you, and like that's where they found so much success, is that they let the player decide how they want to play it, and still with all the difficulty, still with all the ways they want you to like tackle the enemies, but you can choose how you want to do that in the first place. So
Yeah.
that's their strong.
Yeah, and then also like laying down totems as well, and it was kind of like hide and seek, and like when there's a totem on the ground, everybody moves super fast. They hit super fast, and so like you're trying to run away from people and trying to find this goddamn totem. I loved doing that. Or hey, you don't want to do that? Well, then fight all these fast demons. Like,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it seems like they were reacting to, because there was stuff online that I read. I didn't really realize this, but with 2016, a lot of people kind of got tired of the combat. They felt like it was just repetitive and the same kind of things over and over again. And I think that was a reaction where in Eternal, they have all these changes. They have that one dude on flames at Coachella bringing up the difficulty. They have those rune things scattered around. They're always trying to change up the gameplay from arena to arena. And then they're also, which we haven't talked about yet, is the platforming. How did you feel about that being injected into everything else?
So I love what you said there. They keep on changing things up in terms of combat. You're always on your toes until the very end. It's like the last level to me is almost near perfect, because it's like, okay, so you learned everything. Now here's the test. When it comes to the platforming, I respect that it's there, and I think the platforming, for people going, it's awful, it's trash, I disagree. I think it's fine. It's not the best in the world. It's super simple. I think the problem with it is it makes the levels so long, where it feels like certain points. Me and my good friend Luke were kind of trying to like edit how we were talking about it, because it sounds negative, but some of the levels last too long, and it's because of these platforming obstacles. And I feel like if you just took 10 to 15% of these levels and just like shortened it by like 10-15%, it'd be perfect. Like, these levels wouldn't overstay their welcome. But some of them did feel like, okay, I've been here for an hour and 30 minutes. Right. This is a little bit too much. And that was, I think, contributing to, the platforming was contributing to that fatigue, I think, more than anything. Not getting bored, you're just getting tired. Your brain needs a break. Yeah. And I think that's what they tried there with the platform. I mean, I felt it was fine. It wasn't ringing all my bells, but I feel like next Doom, it's gonna be great. The only problem is that the platforming doesn't speak to how fast the overall gameplay is, and I think that's what people are like, oh, all of a sudden everything's super slow.
Yeah, with how you climb and that on its own, where you have to stop and look, like
Yeah.
it's halt everything to a grind basically.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Um,
what about you? How did you feel about the platform?
Yeah, no, I share those same frustrations or like I accepted it as it's fine. It works for the most part. There was times where I was dying when I didn't need to, like, or I was falling short of a grappling thing when I didn't need to. But
Yeah.
I thought it was a good way to like balance after like a crazy interaction. It was kind of a slowdown. But I think looking forward, where they'll shine is trying to integrate the speed into those
Yeah.
traversal. I don't know how you do that with making it work correctly, and then also not like falling apart. But if you can incorporate the speed more into that, where you feel like you're flying through the traversal then or the platforming, I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But
Because I think like with the original Doom, that's what it kind of felt like, right? You're always going fast, and
Yeah.
like you're like Sonic. Maybe you are Sonic, who knows? But like you're always speeding through, and this platform felt slower. And there's one platforming element where I died 3 times, and I'm just like, this is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever played. It's the second to last level, technically last level, where you're jumping through platform to platform, and they're all giving way, and the last platform is blocked by lasers, and you have to shoot the signal as you're jumping in the air to unlock the lasers, and it's a super short timer as it is. So I died 3 times trying to do that because aiming real fast, and then the tombstone falling down to the abyss, you're already stressed out, and then jumping and then having to then all of a sudden rework your brain going, actually, instead of dash or shoot, or instead of dash or jump, shoot. And I couldn't get that, and it felt so ooh, I didn't like that part.
Yeah, it's something that they either need to nail or just kind of drop, and like they have to figure out like, what is it worth keeping, and is there another way to balance out and give you time away from the fighting, and does this need to be there? But we'll see.
Yeah. Either way, I think next game's better if they evolve it or they dump it. Yeah.
And I think I trust them that they will do that kind of thing. If it works, keep it. If it doesn't, if we can't make it better, then drop it. I feel like they're in that mindset where they're willing to let things go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now with I told you this is going to be full spoilery, so I want to break down the story and how you interpreted it. Did you think it got in your way? Did you want more of it? How'd you feel playing the game and experiencing that story?
So, like we were talking about before, here's how I think Doom should be played and how it always will be played by me. I'm here to kick ass. I'm here to get my frustrations out on the world, right? I'm here to forget about Easter's the day. No, I'm here to just kill demons. That's what I'm all about. So for me, I don't care. Like the story is, I bet it's fine, I guess, but I am not here for the story. I'm just here to be the most badass I can be, and I feel like for me, it achieved all of that and then some, to the point where I'm interested of reading all the little things you've collected, the codex. I'm interested of exploring the world, but also when I was just going through the roller coaster that is Doom Eternal, having cutscenes where like everybody's like walking and looking at you going, oh shit, it's him. Like that just up the power fantasy for me of like what Doom guy should be. Is he's threatening to freaking everybody. Like again, when you're fighting the Marauder and you throw Hayden into the portal, you're like, let's go, bro. Yeah. That's what I want out of the story, and it gave me that all the time. But you have a different take, right? You're all in.
Yeah, I guess I found myself wanting more. Like, I think they make a conscious effort of, there are cutscenes, but they kind of happen quickly enough where they put you back in the action. The story is hidden around the world with those codex pages you find that you can choose to read. I get that they're really trying to keep people invested in the gameplay, but I found myself not minding the cutscenes, and I kind of wanted almost more of like a Kojima kind of thing where they just leaned more on the cutscenes. Like I wouldn't mind. Give me an hour cutscene in between. Well, that's extreme, but like give me more cutscene. Let me see some of that weird storyline going on. I still didn't understand what's going on with the priests and the maker. Like I had to go afterwards and like read stuff, watch YouTube videos, but I actually dug the world they were crafting.
Yeah, and I think that's so like Doom 2016 was like, so we're gonna give you what Doom gameplay should be. Not so much the story, and then Eternal was like, okay, this game now needs to build this universe. It needs to build this franchise that we have planned. Mm-hmm. And usually when you see that, you think of things like DCEU, where it's just kind of like all over the place. Here with Doom Eternal, it's just like, what makes Doom guy cool? What is 90% of people going to come here for? It's the action, the gameplay. Let's up that by having these short little moments where, you know, the cinematics are supposed to make you feel really badass, like you're doing something super cool. What I would have actually liked, I know this is gonna sound crazy, some quick time events, air quotes. And what I mean by that is there are moments where you're doing something really cool, like shooting yourself out of a cannon onto Mars, but you don't actually pull the trigger. I would love if I pulled the trigger and it's actually me doing that. That's what I actually would like to see out of the cutscenes. But like, to me, it did an excellent job of like, the story is here if you want it, but only if you want it. And the universe we're crafting is kind of Diablo meets Doom, and I'm totally on board for that.
Yeah, I agree with. I found myself in the cutscenes, especially the very end boss fight. It's like, hey, let me get in there. Like, I want to be the guy putting the sword in. I want to be the dude shooting myself through the cannon. And I thought they were gonna do a little bit of that, but they didn't, and I was kind of disappointing. But just because I already feel like I'm there, let me kind of do some of these things.
But the dialogue as well was so fucking cool. Like you mentioned the end, and they're just like, Hayden's like, the two titans clash as it's been foretold. And I'm like, oh shit, Hayden, you about this? What? Let's go, right? Like, and then like the last line is like, it's like that, like, he'll watch over because his fight is eternal. And then it's like, bam, like, oh my god, I'm so cool. And now I understand, if I was in Chalk in high school, this is what it feels like, you know.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. Like, there's so many. It's almost like with the Doom guy, he's such a blank slate. He needs somebody, and this is a horrible idea, but he needs like a sidekick just reacting, going like, "Oh shit, did you hear that?" Like, just somebody who's just hyping him up, because he has no emotion. But I guess it's the player who's feeling that when we're in front of the screen, freaking out.
The player's feeling it, and I love, like, Vega was cool. Like, Vega was just like, all right, he's like emotionless Cortana, let's do this. And then when it gets switched up with Hayden, I loved it because Hayden was the reserved voice. Like, he's like, you're not gonna actually shoot a hole through Mars.
Oh, right.
and then the mission is shoot a hole through Mars. So it's like, fuck me, let's go. Like, let's do this. You know, that's what I love. The, you can't do that, and you're like, no, fuck, I can.
Right. I'm Doom guy, motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm Doom guy. Who cares? Yeah.
There's also scenes of him, like, I want to say one of the first times he interacts with the priest, when there's two left, they keep telling him, like, oh, you can't change things, and they're kind of sticking around, and he just cocks the shotgun, and they, like, freak out, and they just disappear because they want nothing to do with them. Like, there's so much with the Doom guy. He's reserved. He knows when he's kind of just scaring people. He just knows to, or when he leaves a conversation, like when they're telling him, hey, you can't do this, and he's just like, fuck you, he just walks away. Like, I love that.
He's literally like, his superpower is like determination. Like, he's determined.
Right.
He is unrelentless in that determination. Like, that is just, there's something badass about that. Where it's just like, yeah, you're telling me things, I'm just gonna do it anyway. I'm not even gonna. I don't even need to say anything. Like, because like he talks in the flashbacks for a couple of seconds, and I was just like, oh, this is weird. I make him silent again. It was kind of like when Link talked in that one Phillips game. Hey guys, it's me.
Oh,
I'm like, oh, shut your mouth. Like, yeah, there I'm just like, no, I'm Doom guy. I don't know what this guy is. It's me. You know.
You're right with Doom guy. You know, he does what he wants. He doesn't listen to people. He's like the Trump of our generation. You know, he's really what we should look up to as far as a video game character. You know,
it's true. It's true, because Hayden's just like, if you do this, you'll kill everybody. He's like,
it's fine.
It's fine. April 12th. It's the day. You're like, you really can't. We don't have enough respirators. No, we'll have enough. Don't worry. But this time, like, he's doing badass stuff, you know?
Right.
You know, and saving the world, I hope.
Oh, man. You know what? So keeping on the story, there was a lot of environmental storytelling in the actual game. Like, I found myself walking around and just stopping and just looking at, like, the skyboxes, whether it's when you're first time on Earth, and it's been completely taken over. All the crumbling buildings and just like tentacles and all those techs that are just, or those mechs rather, that are just littered around. It just looks so badass, just the world that they craft around what you're doing.
And it's cool, like, because they know, again, it's them knowing who they're serving, what their fan base is, because everybody knew that rumored Doom game that got canceled, that was supposed to be Hell on Earth. Everybody thought they wanted that game, right? And they were going to try to make it Call of Duty-esque or whatever, or their answer to Call of Duty. And then them doing this was just like, no, this is Hell on Earth. This is what it would look like, and it's super fucking cool. Oh, yeah. Like they again, it's knowing what they got, knowing what fans' expectations are, and then diverting those expectations, but doing something unique. Where like it's kind of what you picture a Hell on Earth would actually be. It is this morphed Earth hellish landscape, and they get that to a T. All of the environments, they just nail what it should feel like or what it should look like. You know.
Yeah, I love how with all environments they crafted a great like the way they balance, like when you're on Hell on Earth or you go to his first as a Sentinel Prime. It's this kind of beautiful foresty looking castle like planet, and then you'll go back between straight into Hell or to Mars. Like they really balance in a way that 2016 didn't do. I guess they couldn't because they were locked into these. We're on Mars or we're in Hell. Like they have to kind of balance back and forth.
Yeah, and again, they gave you a lot of variety as well, because like you're on Mars for like 2.5 seconds and you're like, oh, this feels like home. Like when you're on the space station, it feels different. When you're in the urban area where you're in the huge giant like city, it feels and looks different because you're going through the one cool, fucking so cool. When you're going through where you're trying to find Hayden, and you get into the elevator shaft and you fall on the elevator and it just starts going like, it just like the cable fucking rips and you're going floor through floor, and you're just like, whoa, what? This is fucking cool. Like they nail what those environments should feel like and also look like super well. And my favorite environment has to be what I really would like them to do with the BFG level, where you shoot yourself onto Mars. I would love one, and they'll probably do this, where they go on like Titan, right? And you kind of have like zero gravity. I would love that. Because I love that look of like Earth is shattered and you're jumping on all these like giant shards of just Earth, getting onto the giant weapon. Like that was freaking dope to me.
That's true. I would like to see them lean more into like the space aspect of stuff, because they there's that level, but that's really the only taste they give you of your route in space and kind of dealing with that whole like, because you can just lean on seeing the stars, seeing the nebula stuff, seeing all this destruction on a planetary level. Like, yeah, I want to see more of that.
Yeah. Again, super cool. Big shout out to the environmental devs. The level crafting here is chef's kiss. It's fantastic.
I feel like this is what you get when you give them just so much, I don't know about time, but like money. I feel like they were just, here's a blank check, just paint this environment, just go to town. That's what I imagine they did.
Yeah, it's kind of like Bethesda just turned to go, well, that was a success. Could you just like give us more of it? Whatever, do what you need to do. Build it. And like just you have we hear Sony's very much like that, where the publisher will go to the developer and go, you're good at making this thing, just make more of it. Cool, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You know how to do it. I'm just giving you the money. Yeah, don't make us tell you what to do if we don't have to. You know what I mean? Like if it's like years and this project isn't moving, or is all this like internal issues, like don't make us come in here. Just start creating stuff and we'll leave you alone. That's what I hope is happening. That's what I hope too. Yeah.
Right. Now, there's a thing I was going to bring up on just a little bit on going back to the characters. They used a mechanic where you can visually see when you're causing damage. Like you're actually tearing apart the enemies. They're physically falling apart. Their armor's falling off. I just fucking love that. You don't need a status bar. You just see them physically taking damage.
Yeah, and this game is so much gorier, but it's not like gore. Like it just is cool. Like you don't need to see guts spewing out of shit. Like you get that once or twice maybe when you see the giant mech beast and you just see like the spinal column, but like
Oh, right.
it's not over the top. To me, like, yeah, seeing like the flesh explode, awesome. And there's one mod or cheat code where it's graffiti. Like,
Oh, like confetti.
confetti. There you go.
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
just like, yeah.
Yep.
And I'm just like, that is hilarious. So that's the one thing I liked was, yeah, you're seeing how much damage you're doing to these demons, and you don't need a health bar because it just shows you. It's just
Right.
like, listen, this beast, like the guy with the 2 knives is the one I keep going back to. This beast is fucked up because he's literally just an exoskeleton at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Like, that is so cool, man.
I loved it. And on the topic of gore, you mentioned, I watched just recently this interview with Hugo Martin. He's the guy he's one of the head designers there, and he's doing a lot of the press stuff.
Yeah. I think
He
he's the
talked-
creative director on this game as well.
I think you're right. Yes.
Yeah.
He did Rogan too recently to talk about it. But like, so he's been quoted on like the way they're crafting the gore is almost like a Disney version of gore. Like it is over the top, but they're leaning into that cartoony aspect.
Yeah.
He has this quote from him. He says, "We don't want players to look away in horror. We want them to lean forward and smile." So they're kind of crafting this cartoony-ishness to what's going on.
When you hear people that are way smarter than you talk, it's almost like it's poetry at that point.
Yep.
Like that is exactly what you want. It's like you shouldn't, like, I'm looking at gameplay right. Yeah, you're leaning in. It's never like, oh god, like Last of Us, right? It's kind of like the direct opposite of that, where
Yep.
Last of Us, you're fighting and you're like, oh fuck, oh god, it's tense. It's in your face, and when you kill a guy, you're not feeling happy about it. You're like, that was a challenge, that was a struggle, that was something that is defining me as a player. As this is the direct opposite. It's just like, hey dude, want to see some cool shit? All right, let's do it.
Yeah, we're
Blow
all
this
like
dude
in
up.
middle school at this point. Like it just
Yeah.
takes you back to being just a 5th grader. You're just like, yeah, this is badass.
Exactly. Yeah, like that's what you think was cool in the 90s, but then again, making it cool now, like it's a testament to this developer skill. It's look at
Yeah.
him, just beautiful.
There's another little not an Easter egg, but like just a cool thing I remember seeing in the gameplay. You see it in the first level, but also when you're in that barge, that like hell barge thing. But also when you go to hell, Hayden is talking to you about how they actually take the souls, and you see like these the people that are just kind of like mangled and but there's like walls of them, just tons of these like weird models of just deformed people, and it's just super dark and super gross.
Yeah.
And I just remember that catching me off, going like, whoa, Jesus, like the way and that's hell. Like they craft the idea of hell in a way that I feel like the devil would be taking notes. Like, oh, we should make it look like this. Like this looks fucking terrifying.
Adolf, get over here, write the notes. Yeah. It's like, yeah, like that's what there's then it gets kind of grounded in a sense of reality. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, like when I think of the devil, I actually think of the Emperor from Star Wars. Like that's what the devil would look like to me. And like so like
Gotcha.
going into hell is like, yeah, no, this is what I've always thought like it would look like. Like I've seen some biblical shit that has people like mangled on a goddamn wall. Like it's not Little Nicky, for the reference before. It has this level of, oh shit, there is something really dark here. We need to put an end to it. And it also, knowing that, and at least this is what I got, maybe you could correct me, the demons you're fighting are people. They're like they are like
Yes, yeah, they take the souls apparently. Like, so that's the issue that caused the Civil War apparently in the storyline, is that the super advanced, heavenly like looking creatures, whatever they're called, they siphon that power of the dead souls. But it's just like you're fighting those people that have just been recycled into these demons. So it's like you're fighting other humans, other people from other planets that are just, their souls have been taken in there.
Yeah. And then I'm like, this, and that was the oh eureka oh shit moment to me. I was just like, oh fuck, I'm actually fighting people. Oh fuck. It's kind of like when you're eating a steak, you're like, this came out of a cow. Oh fuck. Like, that was like my same reaction. I was like, oh shit, this is okay.
There's also like in Mario, I think one of the liner books or whatever, like the inside book says that all of the people in the kingdom have been turned into bricks. So in that first Mario, when you're just like breaking bricks with your head, it's all the people. They were just turned into bricks, like the people in the kingdom.
Fuck me. This is again, and it goes with preaching for now years. Mario is not. He's not a good person. He's not. He's not the hero here, folks. It is Bowser. Like, I can't believe how many times I gotta say it, but like this not proves it.
Yeah, well, if anybody was on the fence about Bowser being the good guy, then now they're fully converted.
I think he's wrong about that. Enough of that.
Yeah, any bad guy can be Trump pretty much. So what are some of your closing thoughts on Doom Eternal? So as far as like, did you think that they satisfied, or they gave you everything that you wanted, that you expected out of a sequel to that 2016 Doom?
Absolutely. So playing the first Doom, I played it a few weeks ago, actually preparing for Doom Eternal, and I was just like, this is a great game. I don't know how I mean, they could just give me more of it. Pleased. Seeing how the extra mile they've gone through with this game, it's something else. Like there's something we forgot. I don't know. I've been so hyped this episode. Maybe I forgot that we talked about it. But like, you're actually the Doom guy. Like right. That was the one rumor. Like a lot of the debate within the fandom was, are you a Doom guy or are you someone totally different? And it was that moment where I was just like, this game. It was kind of like the stoner Eureka moment where you're like, this isn't actually the second game in this franchise. Actually, like the fifth.
Right.
Holy shit. You know, like this is something else. And it was that moment where it was like, this game's incredible. This game knows it is so good that it stands right next to, side by side, the things that started it all.
Yep.
You know, like that's they know it, they're confident about it, they know their fan base, they know what they have, they know their talent, and it speaks volumes throughout the single player experience. They're just minor things, like the Marauder sucks, maybe they give me a little bit more ammo, but like other than being able to break things here or there, other than that, this game is like perfect to me. It's near perfect. You know, that's what a sequel should be, building upon stuff and not making you think, oh, I should go back to Doom 2016 because I like this. It's perfect in the sense of like, after playing this game, I don't know how I could go back to 2016.
No, I was thinking about that.
It's so fucking cool. Yeah.
You know what? The 2016 still has a duck button. I think B or circle on the controller is still like, there was still the ability to duck, and now there's no, that you now can dodge. Like there's no need for that. But that's just a small example of them going, yeah, if it doesn't work, if it doesn't need to be in this new game, then drop it and then we'll do something else.
Yeah, and again, it's all about momentum. Like every battle is about momentum. So what's going to help you be more agile? It's throwing it in a dodge mechanic, and that's like something I can instantly get behind. It's just it is just a perfect, again, like evolution. It's now me wondering, okay, they proved me wrong about, you know, how are they going to do this, or how are they going to evolve and take the next step. Now it's like, now what do I want to see out of that the next step, you know, out of what could be Doom 3 or whatever they're calling it.
See, I have the same thoughts, and that was one of my questions too. What could we imagine, you know, or I guess want out of another Doom? And for me, it's just like little nitpick stuff. I just want to exist more in that world. But I guess if I were to sit down, I really like the glory kills. I had a lot of fun, and I just want more variety. I understand it's hard to do. They have to animate it every time. Yeah. But like there was moments where some of the scrub enemies, you could just bonk them on the head and their head just squishes into their body. It's hilarious. And just like the chainsaw animations, I just want more variety there. So I still see something new in the end point of the game.
Yeah, they did a great job there. Again, like some of the glory kills are fucking hilarious. Like shooting like the grenade launcher, for example, or just throwing a grenade into the one demon's mouth and then he eats it and he's like, "Brr." Like that's in the beginning I thought it was funny, and then the second time I did, I was like, I don't know if we're getting too wacky here. And then after the third time, I was like, oh fucking kid, that's hilarious. Yeah, it's again, I can't wait to see what they're gonna do next. Mm-hmm. Yeah, with that next gen hardware, maybe they give me that horde mode I want.
It's possible. I mean, you'd have to imagine we're gonna see some kind of upgraded, you know, like next gen re-release of it, or they just like port this to the next systems, which they already talked about doing in the first place. But I wouldn't mind them taking some time and just revamping it and doing like a cool new Doom 2.0 kind of thing, Eternal 2.0. But that also, it's a big testament to that id Tech engine. So I think it's id Tech 7. This engine is
Yes.
insane, and the way it runs just like beautifully. It's running at 60 frames no matter what on console. It's just they completely have the best hardware to work with this gameplay too. So it's like they're just firing on all top cylinders. Like they're just the top of their game right now.
And then you also forget that they made some of the best, if not the best, engines for shooters.
Right.
And again, it just proves it with this game. It's so good.
I do hope that with id, they fully understand what Doom is and they lean super hard into it. I want to see more devs take note where they go, what is our franchise? What are the things that we should lose? Should we get it back to whatever its glory day was, and like just kind of lean a bit more into that. I think of the Tony Hawk franchise. I love that franchise, but it's been beat to shit. So hopefully whoever devs still have the rights to work on it now, whether it's Activision or somebody else, if they go, what made this thing fun? Let's do that. And like, but that as across the board, other devs need to just kind of focus on what makes this fun. Let's go that route.
And I think like two games come to mind. Again, I know I'm a Sony fanboy. I love it though. Like Spider-Man. It's like, what makes Spider-Man fun? What defines that character? And they nailed it with that game, right?
Yep.
Like, what's Kratos? What's his mission? What's he all about? How can we redefine this game, this franchise? That is something that when you see, a developer, a group of people completely understand on all areas of what makes their game and their systems tick, you get games like Doom Eternal. And yeah, like I'm thinking of, I'm thinking you could turn to the other aisle and go, Bethesda Softworks, hello. Let's talk about Fallout. Let's talk about
what? That's a huge elephant in the room, and their offices aren't side by side, but like they are a company together. They're under the same umbrella. They need to really look at Fallout and say, hey, fuck all this nonsense. Let's make this thing what it was again.
Yeah. And taking the honest look of like, okay, so like, what are the honest problems with these games? They're too buggy. Let's smooth out this engine. Like, what do people want from a Fallout? They want their friends to come with them. Okay, how do we do that realistically though? And like having those systems in place where like you don't have to try to make a Fallout 76. You just have a system in place where you and your friend could play in the same world together, because that's what they truly want.
Yeah. It's tough, and I'm hoping that everyone just takes note and they see with the success of Doom, and both critically and commercially, and they go, hey, we need to just make sure what we're doing is we're fully understanding what we're doing, rather.
Yeah. Again, big props to this team, to everyone involved, because you could see it. They it's so good, so freaking good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, Joseph, we'll end it there, and I'll let you go. I really appreciate being on the show and talking Doom with me. So my buddy Gavin, my co-host, he's super hardcore PC gamer. So if he can't play it on PC, he has no interest in playing it. So
really?
So he bought it on his PC. It doesn't work because it's like a beefy fucking game. Like you need a legit rig apparently on PC. So he's like, well, I'm not going to play. It's like, well, okay, dude, I got to talk to somebody about this. I'm just like foaming at the mouth.
Yeah, no, like now that I have a kick-ass PC, I tried to play Resident Evil 3 with mouse and keyboard. I was just like, what do I do? It was something else. But dude, I had a damn blast talking about this. It's
nice.
been, thank you for having me on. This was fantastic, man.
Oh, not a problem. Anytime. Alrighty, Joseph, that's it for us. We'll let you go, but appreciate you being on the show. They can find you they can find you at Twitter at Mr. Badbit. Also, the Trophy Room podcast that you host. They can find you on Twitter, twitter.com/PS Trophy Room as well. Is that right?
That is correct. Thank you again so much, man.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.